For me, the biggest takeaway was everything's our fault. Like men, as white men specifically.
Yeah.
Everything is our fault.
Right. White biological men.
Right.
Because if it's a white trans man, no, it's definitely not their fault.
They're fine.
They're in the clear. No, but it was so annoying to me to watch that. It's like, because, yes, I see a bunch of assholes doing assholery things.
Right.
To blanket statement, oh, this is because of white angst, white male angst. I'm like, really?
I mean, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I thought the whole situation, like you said, I mean, they were taking away people's water. They were kind of saying, hey, you're going to pay a lot of money. You're going to come to this event.
Yeah.
We're going to strip you of your humanity, and you're going to have to rely on us to supply you with stuff.
Right. Well, and then they're like, oh, and then there's a lot of like, hey, you got to be careful, tread lightly in the conversation here, because like, in no way do you ever want to be like, I'm blaming anybody, because, but like, because there was like a 14-year-old girl who was raped, which is horrible, horrifying, and definitely not her fault on any level. But what parent allows their 14-year-old girl to go do an event like that and not be hyper like supervised, chaperoned?
So, one thing,
and again, it's horrible situation. I get it.
This is I think the most diplomatic way you could unpack that. You know what I mean? Because here's the deal. I'm a dad. I have two boys. I don't have a little girl. I'm glad I don't have a little girl because I think I'd have to kill somebody someday. I know how, you know what I mean? Like, so, and I do that with my boys. I don't care. Take me to Huntsville. My thing is 14 in 1999. So let's do the math. How old do you think the parents were?
Oh, they're hippies.
Yeah. So they probably went to Woodstock 69
right.
30 years later and thought, oh, this is where I met your mother. Yeah.
At 12.
At 12 or whatever. Yeah. This is where, this is. So I don't know. And plus 1999, 1998, that whole time was kind of a time when 14-year-olds were no longer considered like teenagers. They were basically, it was like, hey, there was a weird generational thing. Because like in the 80s, I know kids will be kids get into trouble and stuff. But in the 90s, it was like, God, you guys are dealing drugs and doing real serious bad shit. Stop it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like Bill Burr's thing. It's like, you animals. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like,
well, there was also another, and this is not my thought process. Somebody else, I saw some of the docs. It might have been the HBO one. But they're talking about how, like, music up until that point had a message. Mm-hmm. Like, the 60s was all about fighting the man, fighting Vietnam, whatever. And then you even had the Nirvana era where you had, Kurt Cobain and his lyrics, and just, they had messages. And then you have Kid Rock, you have,
Fred Durst,
Limp Bizkit. You have this kind of like, and this is where I had a problem with the HBO one, because they had like this Times reporter who was like, because he was just talking about culture appropriation and stealing. And it's like, it's just music, man. Like all music is derivatives of other music.
Yeah.
We talked about Elvis last time or a couple times before. Like, oh, yeah. Did he steal? Is it stealing or is it borrowing? Is it derivatives? I mean,
and the big thing I always think about all that is like, look, only the inspired inspire. You know what I mean? So if you did something that was notable in the music world and somebody doesn't kind of borrow from you, then you probably weren't of notoriety at all to begin with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
one thing that was pointed out in the HBO one and not the Netflix one was DMX's set that I don't know the song, but it's like where he's like, mine, the N-word.
Oh, yeah.
And literally he was doing a call and response with the audience, and the audience is 99.999% white male.
Right.
And it's just like hundreds of thousands of people saying the N-word. And it's just like,
oops. Yeah.
But it's like, okay, is there a fault there? Is there a problem there?
Did he give them permission?
Did he give permission? Yeah. Even if he gave permission, is it okay? Because what if one out of the black people that were there, how do they feel about it? And again, it's my issue with that whole conversation is you're having it in 2022 and you're looking through it in the lens of 2022, not the lens of 1999. Because I think back then people would drop the N-word a lot. I mean, they still do now, but I'm talking about like in a, hey, I'm just trying to be culturally relevant, not like antagonizing or mean.
Right.
and now I get skewered alive in the comment section.